Sean McVay will remain as Rams head coach. Galaxy support groups have urged a boycott of games until changes are made at, quote, the highest level, unquote. And how do you go from having simple back pain to having a fractured back? Ask the Chargers. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. It is the Escape from Alaska edition. I couldn't be happier to be home right now. It is January 14, 2023. And a quick note to the people who have been watching me on a regular basis. I appreciate you guys sticking with me. There was no internet in Alaska. It made me want to kick puppies into the snow. It was so infuriating, but it's all over with. I'm happy. I love people. I love the animal kingdom, and I love LA sports. So if you like the content we put out, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that. It'll let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Missed hearing from you guys. So let's get busy. Last night, before we go through the news and notes, we'll look at the scoreboard. Kawhi Leonard scores 24 points to lead the Clippers, but they still lose to Denver, 115-103. Meanwhile, today, big day for LA sports. Big day. Starting off with the NFL playoffs, the Chargers are in Jacksonville for a game that kicks off at 5. That is not only the first NFL playoff game for Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, but the same for Jaguars quarterback Trevor Lawrence. So it's going to be a terrific little matchup tonight. Also, Colorado is at 7th-ranked UCLA for basketball at 5 p.m. The Bruins are looking for their 13th consecutive win. Utah is at USC. That game will be at 7:30. Now, this isn't as impressive as a 13-game winning streak, but USC has, in fact, won 8 consecutive home games. And New Jersey is in town to play the LA Kings. Did you know the Kings are 2 points behind Vegas? Not just for the division lead, but for the best point total in the Western Conference. Well, let's get to the news. Sean McVay has told the Rams front office that he will stay on as head coach next season. Speculation about the man had been running rampant for at least the last 2 seasons. He's 36 years old. He got the Rams to a couple of Super Bowls, but the way that he had gone about it was described as people close to him as unsustainable. In other words, oh, wow, look at Sean McVay. He got the Rams to win the Super Bowl. He must be burned out. He's going to have to retire. Oh, no, this year the Rams are 5-12. It's his first losing season. He's going to be burned out. He needs to retire. And so the Rams, they were like, look, we get it. You could be burned out. Why don't you take a few days and think about what you want to do for next year? No pressure. It took Sean McVay 4 days to decide. 4. Now, having said that, this is a case of a workaholic, and he sounds like a workaholic, I might add. He's talking about next year being a quote-unquote beautiful challenge, unquote. But not only does he have to worry about how he's going to coach the team next year, he now also has to worry about who is going to help him coach the team next year. Remember, offensive coordinator Liam Cohen has already left the Rams. He's going to be coaching offense over for the University of Kentucky. And by the way, frankly, good riddance. But defensive coordinator Raheem Morris, he's already interviewed for the vacant Indianapolis Colts job, and he has an interview scheduled to go with the Denver Broncos. So he might be looking, McVay might be looking at replacing both coordinators and other assistant coaches along the way. So you're basically telling a workaholic that it's not just the regular season he has to worry about. Oh, no. He might have to build his staff again from scratch. Yikes. Speaking of the Rams, Jalen Ramsey sent out a rather cryptic tweet. Quote, "If this is the end, I went out with a bang." Bang in all caps, bang with an exclamation point. And I'm not going to front. I don't know precisely what he's talking about, but if you look at a tweet like that, it leads people to conclude or to deduce that he thinks he has played his last game with the LA Rams. Now, to me, I hope that doesn't happen. I like the guy. I have his jersey. I have a lot of jerseys, I'm sure you've noticed. But last year, if you look at it, Ramsey struggled. He had surgery on one shoulder going into the year. He still needs surgery on his other shoulder. As a result, his results started to decline. This is his first year with the Rams, where he wasn't named to either an All-Pro or a Pro Bowl ranking. So it did slip. And then you have to take into account that his base salary next year, not counting bonuses, is $17 million. So it's possible that he's reading these tea leaves thinking to himself, do I either renegotiate for a pay cut? Do the Rams trade me as a way to try to replenish some of the depth that they didn't have last year? You'd have to figure it out. The LA Galaxy are one of the original teams of Major League Soccer. Played one of the first games in the Rose Bowl, damn near filled the place. It's basically put Major League Soccer on the map. The Galaxy have won 5 MLS Cups, more than any other team in that league. They built not just one supporters group, but 5 supporters groups who are that much in love with the team. You go to Dignity Health Sports Park, and they take up an entire end zone. Not only do they take up an entire end zone, they take up almost another big chunk of Dignity Health Sports Park. This team has 5 major supporters groups, and they're all pissed. Every last one of them. They sent out a social media post last night that they are advising the Galaxy that they will not attend a single match until big changes in the front office are made. They are also encouraging other Galaxy fans, such as me, to join the boycott. And that is going to be a big question, because in the open letter, the supporters groups accuse the front office of placing business over on-field production, working dishonestly, and working without professionalism. How does that happen? In some, they want Galaxy president Chris Klein out. Straight and simple. And I can't blame them. I mentioned earlier how the Galaxy have won 5 MLS Cups. They have not come close to the 6th since they won the 5th back in 2014. Donald Trump wasn't even considering running for president back then. That's how far back that goes, right? In addition to that, the Galaxy are just as likely to miss MLS Cup playoffs as they are to make it, let alone not be a threat to win the Cup. All of this has happened since Chris Klein took over as club president. They've also seen a crosstown rival win MLS Cup last year. That would be LAFC. So they're looking at their own club, and they're looking at Chris Klein piddling around. And oh, by the way, Chris Klein got caught up in a cheating scandal. Not cheating on his wife. I wouldn't know. Totally don't care. I'm talking about cheating in terms of how you put together a team. He broke salary cap rules, and the front office did, in order to acquire Christian Pavon a couple of years ago. So, in sum, a team that doesn't compete for the title, while LAFC did win a title, not guaranteed to make the playoffs when it used to be a fait accompli that they would challenge for the Cup, and they're cheating. Now, Chris Klein's contract ran out at the end of 2022. There was no announcement for weeks as to whether or not Klein was being retained, until they slid it in just in the back of the LA Times. And oh, by the way, why was Chris Klein returned? They offered no comment whatsoever. So if you look at what the supporters groups are saying, you could easily see their point. The on-field product, diminished. Working dishonestly, definitely diminished. Not being accountable for said dishonesty. Lack of professionalism. The Galaxy supporter groups are on point across the board. Now, the question we would say is, could a boycott theoretically work? Possible. Look at Newcastle United over in the Premier League. The fans used to fill St. James's Park, which is significantly larger than Dignity Health Sports Park. It seats like about over 50,000 people. The place used to get filled. They got sick and tired of the way the team was playing under the management and the front office and the owner, so they stopped showing up, which meant the money dried up, which meant the owner sold, and the whole front office got cleaned out, and all of a sudden Newcastle United is actually a threat in the Premier League. So is it possible? Yeah. But here's the thing. Chris Klein makes the money. He was the one who secured a new contract with Herbalife to be the front of the jersey sponsor. That contract alone is worth tens of millions of dollars. So this is a bit of a gambit by the supporters group. We're talking about, what, 4,000, 5,000 people not attending Galaxy games who are in the supporters groups? What about the fans who actually believe in what the supporter groups are saying, and would they miss out too? So how much of a hit is that in terms of revenue for LA Galaxy over Chris Klein? It's a gambit. On the other hand, maybe some of the fans say, you know what, I love soccer too much and I'm going to go watch the Galaxy play anyway. We don't know yet. We don't know. The Galaxy, by the way, opened the season not at Dignity Health Sports Park, but at the Rose Bowl. Could the Rose Bowl be half empty? Could the Rose Bowl, could Galaxy fans actually put their seats up on StubHub, and next thing you know, a game that's supposed to be a highlight of El Tráfico becomes nothing but an LAFC home game for 70,000 plus people? It's all possible. It's all possible. And by the way, it's a choice I have to make too. I have tickets to that game. So yeah, I've got me some thinking to do, because I think Klein should go. I've always thought Klein should go. But man, that game was supposed to be an event. How do you get an MRI and not have it discovered that you have a broken back? How the hell does that happen? Ask Mike Williams, the wide receiver for the LA Chargers, who was one of the players who probably shouldn't have played in Denver, injured his back. But not only did he injure his back up in Denver for a game that meant nothing, the imaging that was taken said that he was okay, that he just needed a couple of days of rest. Not true. They redid the MRI. They found he has a fractured back. It's inoperable. It has to heal on its own. So he's out at least a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks. So unless the Chargers make a deep run into the playoffs, his season is done. Now, you might sit there and say this is something to put on Brandon Staley, and you might have a point. I think it's something to put on the Chargers medical staff. The Chargers medical staff has had problems that preceded what happened to Mike Williams. Remember, a former quarterback, Tyrod Taylor, has sued the Chargers over poor medical care given by team doctors. So I want to know who read the MRI, because if they didn't get a second MRI to determine that there was a fractured back, you could have put somebody out on the field with a broken back and expected him to perform. That is extremely dangerous. Now, I'm not saying I know what happened. I'm asking, how the hell do you miss a player having a broken back? Does that even make sense? The Dodgers have avoided arbitration with 9 players. Friday was the deadline to do such a thing. Julio Urias, avoiding arbitration, got the biggest pay hike. He's going up to $14.2 million. Others who have agreed to avoid arbitration included Will Smith, Dustin May, Trace Thompson, Brusdar Graterol, Evan Phillips, Caleb Ferguson, Yency Almonte, and Walker Buehler, which is strange because Walker Buehler isn't even going to pitch next year. He's recovering from Tommy John surgery, so he still gets a raise. Now, having said that, there was one important player that did not agree to a contract. There's a possibility he and the Dodgers go to arbitration. That would be Tony Gonsolin. If Gonsolin and LA do not reach an agreement by a deadline at the end of January, both Gonsolin and the Dodgers basically push a number in front of an arbitrator, and the arbitrator decides who's going to get what. The NBA has something called the last 2-minute report. The reason I bring that up is because the Lakers are upset over a potential foul that was not called when LeBron James attempted a shot to possibly win the game against Dallas on Thursday night in overtime. And the league agreed. LeBron was fouled. Not that it matters. Oh, and by the way, not only do they agree that LeBron was fouled, they agreed that Luka Doncic committed a loose ball foul on the rebound, which would have given the Lakers another chance to win. Moreover, the league said in the final 2 minutes of regulation, plus both overtimes that were played on Thursday night, the referees blew 7 calls. 7. How the hell does that happen? Let me know what you think about that in the comments thread. Wide receiver Michael Sturdivant has left Cal. He has gone into the transfer portal and he is landing at UCLA. If you are saying to yourself, gee, guys, I really like this Dante Moore that they've recruited, but who the hell is Dante Moore going to throw to? I'm here to tell you, it's going to be Sturdivant. Sturdivant is going to be a sophomore. He caught 65 passes as a freshman for the Bears last year for 755 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's going to be extremely productive. Lincoln Riley over at USC says he will be more proactive with the defense next season. He said he took another look at the tape from the Cotton Bowl, saw unblocked Trojan players not making tackles. So instead of blaming the players, Riley is asking himself how he and the coaching staff can get the players in a position to make those plays. He is also expecting a better overall defensive line next year. But we'll have to find out as the months goes on if that's going to come to pass or if the heat gets on Alex Grinch even more. But you let me know what you think in the comments thread. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We do talk LA sports here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We might be back later tonight with a Chargers recap. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.